Excellent, guys. Awesome for tuning in. Today we're going to look at a PMR radio set in this big fat box from a German company called, I hope I pronounced this correctly in English, Stabo. And this company that exists actually for a long time. My guess is that these radios are contract manufactured somewhere overseas, but in any case, they claim to have quite the range. It says 10 kilometers, so that would be several miles. From all my experience, most PMR446 radios actually don't deliver the full range that you see under the package, simply because the radios themselves, they only have output power of about half a watt, or exactly a half a watt. That's what they should deliver. And that is somewhat of a limitation with these license-free PMR radios, simply because, I mean, maybe you can get this 10 kilometer range, or you can get this 10 kilometer range if you have ideal conditions, so without any obstructions, like from mountain to mountain peak or over an empty lake, something like this. But let's say you're in an urban environment with lots of concrete buildings, these 0.5 watts is simply not enough power to overcome like any sorts of obstructions that you might face, like a dense forest vegetation or buildings and stuff. So that's why I always like to say PMR446 is basically for close range communication. And also, I think last time a viewer from India asked me, oh, can I use PMR446 radios in India? Guys, I have no clue, but at least in the case of Europe, here are a bunch of countries mentioned. So at least if you're in Europe, you should be fine for the most part. It says in Italy, you must register it. Guys, always make sure you're aware of what radios you can use license-free. Don't just go out and buy like a high power ham radio and transmit on the wrong frequencies. That's not how you're supposed to do this. Obviously there are more powerful radios, but for those you definitely need a license. Those are license free, and I have to say most people who use this casually or even on a regular basis, for a lot of people it may actually be totally sufficient if you have like a close range communication going on, maybe in and around your business or in and around your home, around the campsite, for shorter distances while hiking, something like that. So without further ado, guys, this concludes the introductory part. Next up, we're going to jump to the unboxing. I'm going to show you what's inside the box. This box is really nice because it has plenty of accessories, such as docking station, which is always cool if you want to use it more frequently. You can put it in a docking station, take it out the next morning when you're ready to go. So before I digress any further, let's jump to the unboxing, and then I'm going to do a range test and then a summary and conclusion. Guys, awesome you have tuned in. Remember, I have lots of other videos on my channel as well. So let's get rolling. Now guys, let's have a quick look at these PMR radios, the Stabo Freecomm 700. And yeah, I mean, I like to have this box. I mean, it just keeps it more uncluttered if you have to carry stuff around. Let's say you work in construction, something like that, or landscaping, or you have some kind of business, or even just for private use. You can just easily carry this around and keep everything nice and handy in one of these boxes, even if you store it away or something like this. So that's already gives the first thing why I like this a lot. Big thumbs up for carrying boxes. I think more radios should come with these carrying boxes. Obviously, I mean, you could build a carrying box yourself if you don't get one with your radios, but here it's included, so that saves me a lot of time and trouble. Very nicely packaged. And then, yeah, here you see all the stuff that comes with it. Why don't I show you quickly a close-up shot of the radio itself. And one thing that stands out with the Freecomm 700 is already you see instead of a lot of radios, PMR radios, they just have the channel number. Here you actually see the frequency, which I think is kind of cool. And then you have charging and headphones, as well as push to talk, and then here a flashlight feature, but the flashlight is not at the top. The flashlight is at the bottom, which is different than most radios. Most radios have the flashlight at the top, and then a volume knob up here, which obviously I like volume knobs. A bunch of radios that I tested, they don't have a volume knob, they just have everything with buttons, and personally I like it when you can just turn the volume knob to turn it on, off quickly, Some radios even have the channel knob. So let's have a quick look at the charging station. That's another thing that I pointed out earlier, that a charging station can be very beneficial if you're a regular user of PMR, of your radios, because you put them into the charging station overnight and then the next morning you are ready to go with a fresh charge. But this set actually takes it a step further, because as you can see down here, it also has 2 car charging adapters, which obviously can also be quite useful. Let's say you work in, I don't know, forestry, something like this. Then maybe overnight you put the radio into the charger, and then you use the radio a lot during the day, and then come lunch break, you just give it a little bit of a top-off charge in your car, and that way you can be sure the radio is always ready to go, no matter the situation. So that's kind of cool. But on top of that, you even have these, gosh guys, how's this called in English? Please let me know in the comments below. Yet another word I haven't learned in English. Push to talk kind of thing. You call this handset or something. And yeah, there's a connector on the side as well. You just plug this in. This looks like 2.5 millimeters. And again, let's say I would attach this with the belt clip to my belt. Then I could take this and maybe put it onto my jacket. You see, this is like at I think a 90-degree angle. And you could wear that at your jacket, something like this. And then talk with your colleague or whoever you want to talk with. So actually really nice accessories with this radio. I'm really liking this so far, and that's why right now we're gonna quickly jump to put in the batteries. Taking off the belt clip, you see it's AAA, 4 AAA batteries. So I'm gonna put in the batteries, charge those up, and then we're ready to do the range check and see what the sound quality is like. I like it really a lot, especially these, yeah, I mean almost police or EMS kind of style speaker headset kind of connector. So guys, let's get going with charging those up. Now guys, both radios have the batteries in. As you can see, I made a little bit mistake. Usually that flap, you wanted to put that below so that you can take the batteries out easier. Let's switch on the power, put radio number 1 into the charging dock. As you can see, the light indicates that it's charging. And then I'm gonna put this in as well. And one thing I also noticed, not sure whether this is gonna be an issue or not, it's pretty easy to touch this button, and it really doesn't have a lot of resistance. If you touch this button, the light comes on. So maybe if you have a tool belt or something, maybe position the radio somewhere where you don't bump into that button a lot, because otherwise the light would turn on quite frequently. But maybe that's not an issue. That's probably something I see with prolonged use of time. Let's put the second radio in the charging dock as well. Now these radios charge up really nicely, and for now I really have a good impression of the Stabo Freecomm 700 PMR radios. So far they get a thumbs up. So after those start charged up, I'm gonna go outside. For you it's instantly. Let's see what the range is on those and how the sound quality is, and maybe test also one of these accessories. So let's get rolling, guys.
So guys, range test. First test point of the Stabo Freecomm, about 420 feet. Range test, 420 feet. Test point number 1. Range test of the Stabo Freecomm 700. Range test number 2 with 790 feet. 790 feet. Test point number 2 of the Stabo Freecomm. Test point number 2. Range test, 1,250 feet, and guys, we really have a nice spring morning. Really great to do these range tests. And yeah, test point number 3 with 1,250 feet. Range test of the Stabo Freecomm 700. And guys, I reached test point number 4 with 1,540 feet. Test point number 4 with 1,540 feet. Should be still sounding pretty good, guys. So guys, range test, test point number 5, and guys, I'm really sorry if those ranges are not very far, because this is just PMR446, it doesn't have that much of a range. So test point number 5 with 2,000 feet. 2,000 feet, if you're in the US, you're probably going to have a little bit different type, GMS or FMS, and then you're lucky. So test point number 5, 2,000 feet. Range test of the Stabo Freecomm 700, test point number 6 with 2,300 feet. Should be still, audible. Test point number 6 with 2,300 feet. So guys, range test, test point number 7, and we reached 2,600 feet, or about half a mile. So test point number 7, and let's go a little bit further to maybe a mile or so. Range test, and guys, we reached test point number 8, about 3,200 feet, and guys, I always have to convert kilometers into feet and miles, so that's a little bit of a stretch for European, because we don't have miles. So test point number 8 with 3,200 feet. Guys, range test, test point number 9 of the Stabo Freecomm 700, and usually the quality starts to drop a little bit. Also, it's gotten a little bit windy over here, and we are at 3,900 feet, or 3/4 of a mile. 3/4 of a mile, or 3,900 feet. Test point number 9. Range test, we are still listening to the Stabo Freecomm 700 at test point number 10 with about 4,900 feet. 4,900 feet, almost a mile. And for these little European PMR radios with only 0.5 watts, that ain't too bad to begin with for close range radio. Test point number 10, almost a mile. Range test, test point number 11 on a very windy morning. And guys, I really have to hurry, the camera shuts off any minute, only runs 30 minutes. Test point number 11 with 1.15 miles. 1.15 miles. Guys, this concludes the range test. Thanks for listening in test point 11.
Now, excellent guys, this concludes the range test. As you can see, we jumped from part 3 to part 4, the summary and conclusion part. I'm just quickly going to give you a recap what I think of this Stabo Freecomm 700 radio set. And as far as I can see, I like these radios a lot. The build quality is nice, especially all the accessories nice. And you even see the frequency in here. It even has a backlight display. And maybe I can quickly show you the menu as well. You just push this button in the middle and you can flip through the channels. That's pretty straightforward. If you want to change something else, you can go deeper in the menu here, which I'm not going to do right now. And it even has a radio function. You can push on FM, and then you go into the radio spectrum and you can just scan, and it scans the next station that's nearby, so you can listen to radio if you want to as well. But a small disclaimer I always like to do at the end, please keep in mind that the range results or quality can vary depending on your environmental or the conditions in your environment. I have pretty good conditions, I don't have too many obstructions, but let's say you're somewhere in the city with lots of concrete buildings, your range can be significantly lower. Or if you have only open pastures, or you transmit over open lake or something like that, the output power is almost the same. It's the same with all these radios, so they should always transmit at 0.5 watts. But depending on your environment, lots of trees and vegetation, the range can be, your results can be significantly different. So please keep that in mind, because these radios, PMR446, is designed for in and around the house. It's kind of like a close range communication thing. If you really need something where you can go miles and miles after miles, you may want to consider getting a license as a ham radio operator. Then you can get different kinds of radios. And yeah guys, what else is there to say? I like that these radios come with a bunch of accessories such as the charging station and such. And yeah, I mean, if you're using it regularly, you can charge it overnight. I showed you the flashlight function earlier, so that's kind of cool. And I like this push to talk. I don't know, how do you call this, headset or something, handset that you can put on your jacket. I mean, it automatically switches the microphone and speakers from here when you plug this in to over here. So that's also kind of useful. And the quality looks pretty okay. So that's why I give this entry-level set a thumbs up. I really enjoy it a lot. And if you're in the States, make sure to check out FMRS and GMRS respectively. Or maybe head over to my channel page. I can show this to you here. And look in the radio section. There you can find a lot of other different reviews, Motorola radios, Reteris radios, Baofeng radios and such. So you can make an educated decision. Guys, I hope you have, I know you're gonna have a lot of fun with your new radios, no matter which brand you choose. Awesome, thanks for tuning in. I see you as a subscriber in the next video. Take care.
And guys, because you just watched the review of the Stabo Freecomm 700 set, you might also be interested in comparing against a more affordable version, maybe these Red Floreon FC200. And always keep in mind that most of these radios, no matter whether it's the Stabo or the Floreon, that there is a PMR446 version as well as a FRS version if you're in the States. Guys, I see you as a subscriber on my channel and in the next video, or even maybe in one of my online courses. All the best to you. Take care.